ball straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance from...
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Right, on the show today, more voices come in on just why the Indian cricket team lost that first test to South Africa in Kolkata. Sunil Gavaskar says it's only the batter's fault. Is he right? What then is the solution or the way forward? The PCB and senior cricketers trumpet Pakistan A's triumph over India A in a group stage match. But are they forgetting the elephant in the room? There's a lot of unrest and unease that is still on, and we'll tell you what. We've all heard of giving excuses when things don't go your way, but nothing beats this. Nigeria blames black magic by DR Congo after being knocked out of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. All of that coming up, but first, Sports 360. Starting with football, Portuguese football maestro Cristiano Ronaldo has been invited to the White House by US President Donald Trump. The two will meet later today before Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman meets Trump. Just recently, Portugal sealed their 2026 World Cup berth, which is scheduled to take place in America. Over in the World Cup qualifiers, Germany have sealed their 2026 World Cup spot with a 6-0 win over Slovakia. Leroy Sane scored a brace and 5 different goal scorers contributed to a top-of-the-table finish. Slovakia head into playoffs. Meanwhile, French footballer Kylian Mbappe and his former club Paris Saint-Germain are now involved in a legal battle. Mbappe is seeking $300 million in unpaid wages and harassment from the club. PSG, on the other hand, hopes to obtain $510 million in damages instead. Over in cricket, New Zealand's Daryl Mitchell has been ruled out of the remainder of the West Indies ODI series. The batter suffered a minor groin strain in the opener, where he scored 119. New Zealand won the match by 7 runs. He'll miss the last 2 ODIs as New Zealand lead 1-0. Summing it up with chess. After the heartbreak at the Chess World Cup, India Grandmaster Nihal Sareen bounced back by winning the bullet brawl. Sareen beat world number 1 Magnus Carlsen, world number 2 Hikaru Nakamura and compatriot Pragyananda Ramesh Babu after collecting the most points. The postmortem of India's defeat to South Africa in the first test at Kolkata continues, with many more voices weighing in on exactly what went wrong and how India were unable to chase down the target on day 3. Now, needless to say, one of the most well-respected cricketing legends and commentator Sunil Gavaskar has also stepped right in. He's laid the blame squarely on the Indian batting lineup, saying nothing else can be blamed for the loss, that India needs to self-reflect. His solution is simple: domestic cricket. But is that it? Let's dive deep. Sunil Gavaskar has been clear in his critique that there is no business putting the blame on anyone else, on the coach Gautam Gambhir, on the team combinations that played the game, or the conditions, which is the pitch. This is what he says.
It was not a vicious turning pitch. It was a pitch on which you needed to bat as if you were playing a 5-day test, not a 50-over match or a T20. That's the issue. Poor technique and poor temperament have landed us in this situation.
The batters did not have the temperament nor the right technique to negotiate the deliveries, particularly the spin bowling. That 124 should have been reached. It was a no-brainer. So what then is the solution? Listen in.
A lot of our players do not play domestic cricket. If you play domestic cricket, you will get to play on such pitches, right? Workload is the word. They only want to play in the Ranji Trophy if they are out of form. Otherwise, they don't want to play. So that is the answer.
Well, that seems to be the most convenient response and solve, doesn't it? Lost a test? Go back to domestic grind. Lost your form? Go back to Ranji. Coming back from an injury? Layoff? Play domestic cricket. Now, while it holds some logic, yes, executing this regularly is not practical, not for India's international cricketers, because a lot of them have a packed schedule right through the year. India plays the most cricket. While they are able to give the domestic matches some attention when required, we can see enough instances of that not happening for a lot of these stars. Now, because it isn't just about the physical toll that it takes, there's also mental fatigue. Now, my question is, how could India not bat better in their own home ground compared to the visitors here? And that ought to sting. No amount of practice in domestic cricket can really make up for that. The other way to look at this, of course, is contrary to what Gavaskar suggests. Do we have the right personnel in this test format in this squad currently? Have we forgotten certain players like Sarfaraz Khan or even Karun Nair for different reasons? Although, who are the VVS Lakshmans? Who are the Rahul Dravids of this generation who can hold their ground, become that wall no matter the conditions, no matter the competition, the opposition in front of them? Who are we grooming to play the long innings, to bat deep, to stick in there, and particularly against spin? That's where the management comes in. So while it is easy to put all the blame on the batting or the lack of application, the management has to take some responsibility in all of this and how it's all panned out. Because this is not the first instance of India's batters catapulting to foreign spinners, and not the first time that they have failed to chase a target in Test cricket. It surely won't be the last. More so if this pattern here continues from various aspects. The fact that Shubman Gill, for example, is still recovering from that strike during the first test is also an additional concern. So my question is this: if this was what the management, including India's head coach here, wanted for the next WTC cycle, the next World Test Championship cycle, no seniors, no Rohit Sharma, no Virat Kohli, a brand new young generation going forward with a young leadership at the helm. If that's what they wanted, then did they cover their bases? Did they only finish part one of this execution plan and forget what was rightfully to follow? That the one stepping up would do that step up, know exactly what to expect of them and know what to deliver. Now, yes, everyone lives and learns. A day, a test, it happens, it's a process. But then the goals should be different for this squad. Because if the goal is to lift the World Test Championship title, then time is ticking. And the thinking on here on has to be about what should be done differently to get a result that's different. Pakistan continues to use India's name as a means to stay relevant. Their junior side registered a rare win over India in the Rising Stars Asia Cup tournament, and the entire cricket fraternity across the border started thumping their chests to the extent that you'd think they just won a World Cup. But here's the part Pakistan conveniently forgets, and that's a single win cannot cover up a system that's collapsing. Because while they brag about beating India at the junior level, their cricket ecosystem is burning from within. In the latest flashpoint, 2 Sri Lankan players, including their captain, left Pakistan after the Islamabad blast. This despite repeated assurances from Pakistan's Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi, who kept insisting it's all safe. So the question is simple: is Pakistan so obsessed with India that they can't see their own house crumbling? Let's talk about the match itself. Pakistan A beat India A in the Rising Stars Asia Cup, a heated, fiery, borderline chaotic contest between the two rivals, and credit where credit is due. A win is a win, so Pakistan played well, especially because not too long ago their senior side lost to India 3 times, including that Asia Cup final. So yes, for Pakistan this was big. But the question, was it big enough for their captain, the senior captain, and their PCB chief to turn it into a headline of national pride? A gentle reminder here, the Shaheens have not won the tournament. It was just a group stage match that helped them seal a spot in the semi-final. They still need to win 2 more games. They may even run into India once again, so maybe Pakistan should hold on to their horses, because one junior level win isn't going to solve a decade of deep-rooted problems. Sure, Pakistan A has won the Emerging Asia Cup twice, India just once, but beyond that, Pakistan has been exposed time and again. They haven't produced world beaters in over 10 years. This was once the land of Wasim, Waqar, Shoaib, Misbah, Yunus, Saklain. The list was long. This was a side that terrified opponents. Can anyone say the same of the lot today? Meanwhile, India, the neighbour Pakistan constantly compares itself to, has created a cricketing superstructure. And the trophies, well, they speak for themselves. In the Under-19 World Cups, India is the most successful nation, even ahead of Australia. Pakistan only won it twice, the last coming back in the Golden Age in 2006. Over in the Asia Cup, of course, the Indians have been champions 8 times, Pakistan only once. Even Bangladesh has scored 2 titles, the last 2 going to them. And that's not all. Let's get to the real issue here, the elephant in the room, terrorism. Pakistan has struggled for years to curb terror and ensure basic security details. And this directly affects their credibility as cricket hosts. Just recently, Pakistan hosted Sri Lanka for a 3-match ODI series. Middle of the series, a suicide blast in Islamabad sent shockwaves through the Sri Lankan camp. 8 players wanted to go back home. The PCB chief, even the Pakistan Army chief stepped in, giving safety assurances. The Sri Lankan board reportedly reminded their players of contractual repercussions. Things seemed to cool down, but not for long, because right before the T20 tri-series, that's featuring Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe, 2 players from the Sri Lankan camp left, including captain Charita Asalanka and pacer Asita Fernando. Well, that's the official reason, but the real reason? Pakistan knows, Sri Lanka knows, well, the cricket world surely knows. 2009, Lahore, the Sri Lankan team was attacked on their own way to the stadium. That incident shut down international cricket in Pakistan for nearly a decade. Yes, Zimbabwe returned in 2015. Major nations returned only post-2020. A few series have taken place since. The ICC tournament made a comeback this year via the Champions Trophy, but the Islamabad blast revealed the uncomfortable truth that the foundations are still unstable, and it doesn't end here. Internal politics, coaches complaining, players rebelling, former captain Mohammad Rizwan refusing to sign his contract. So while celebrating a win is always good, turning a junior level group match into a national victory parade, though, just shows how desperate Pakistan cricket can become. A single win doesn't change decades of decay. It doesn't fix terrorism. It doesn't fix infrastructure chaos. It doesn't fix pipelines. It doesn't fix governance. And nor does it give credibility. And it certainly doesn't fix a cricket system that is bursting at the seams. Pakistan can keep obsessing over India, but until they fix the chaos at home, one win here or there will remain exactly that. A moment, but not the momentum. Nigeria failed to qualify for the 2026 World Cup. The 3-time African champions, once a powerhouse of continental football, have somehow gone from bad to worse. Naturally, when a football giant collapses, you expect conversations around performance, infrastructure, tactics or management. But not this one, because their head coach has blamed the exit on Voodoo. That's right, Voodoo done by DR Congo during their penalty shootout win. So is Nigeria really being undone by dark arts, or is this yet another case of excuses overshadowing accountability? Our next report tells you more.
African football is a story of heart, resilience and raw power, with controversies sprinkled in between. And within this landscape, Nigeria stands tall. A nation with 6 World Cup appearances, 3 AFCON titles, and talent many countries dream of. The Super Eagles have always been Africa's beacon, rubbing shoulders with Egypt, Cameroon, Ghana and Morocco, never out of the elite conversation. But today, that legacy is dangerously slipping. Nigeria's loss to DR Congo on penalties has knocked them out of the 2026 World Cup race, their second straight failure in World Cup qualification. But instead of introspection, instead of analyzing tactics, mindset or player selection, Nigeria's head coach chose the most bizarre explanation possible: Voodoo.
During all the penalty decisions, the guy of Congo did some voodoo. Every time, every time. So this is why I was a little nervous after him.
We've all heard metaphors in football. Magic on the field, magical goals, magical comebacks. But this? Black magic interfering in a World Cup qualifier? This is the first time football finds itself entangled in something so strange. But it all points to one thing. When you run out of answers, you start finding villains in the shadows. And it's not like this was a calculated accusation. This wasn't after analysis or a cool-down session. His team lost, emotions peaked, he stormed towards the DR Congo coaching staff and an ugly altercation broke out. Sometimes chaos is the easiest shield. But now it's time to talk about the real issue hurting Nigeria. Something the management keeps dodging, the mess within. Just 10 days before the crucial qualifier, the same Nigeria squad was locked in a standoff with the federation. The dispute? Unpaid salaries again. The backlash was huge, the board rushed into crisis mode, and eventually an agreement was reached and training resumed. But here's the truth. You can fix paperwork, but you can't fix morale overnight. How do you expect players to focus on qualification when their own federation can't guarantee basic commitments? That lack of motivation, that mental fatigue was visible on the field against DR Congo. Because football isn't just physical, it's psychological. And Nigeria played like a team burdened by everything but the match itself. And make no mistake, Nigeria's potential is not in question. The men's team has qualified for nearly every World Cup since 1994. Their women's team, the Super Falcons, is the most dominant side in African football. They won the AFCON for the 10th time. The country erupted. Players were rewarded with 3-bedroom flats. But here's the catch. Apart from fleeting moments of recognition, the system has repeatedly failed them. In 2022, the women's team did not even have proper kits. And today the men's team is going through the same torment. Unpaid bonuses, delayed salaries, and a chaotic administration. These problems don't just hurt performance, they break trust. Yet, instead of fixing these real and tangible issues, the management finds comfort in blaming superstition, in shifting the narrative away from accountability, in making excuses instead of progress. The Super Eagles don't need magic to rise again. They need leadership and proper structure. Because until Nigeria fixes what's inside, no opposition needs to cast a spell. Nigeria is defeating itself. And that is the harsh reality behind their World Cup heartbreak.
Time for last, sir. Formula One is set for a revolution. Make way for driverless racing cars. The second edition of the Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League took place. The highlight was, of course, the human versus AI challenge. And the AI finished just fractions behind a former Formula One driver. Take a look. Wraps it up here on First Sports. I'll of course see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye.
They promised glory. They delivered fear. They shaped nations. They scarred generations. From brutal purges to propaganda machines, from stolen power to violent falls from the throne. Welcome to The Dictator, a series that strips away the myth and then exposes the men behind the tyranny. History remembers their power. Firstpost reveals their truth.